Hi, it's Linda Campbell from Your Authentic Self, and in this video I want to talk a bit about what it's going to feel like for you to be in hypnosis. Now first I want to remind you that we go in and out of natural trance states all day long. Sometimes people think going into hypnosis is this magical thing, but really, if I were to measure your brainwave levels throughout the day, you actually go into the same state when you're daydreaming or fantasizing anytime your mind is wandering. So if you've ever zoned out while you're driving, you're passing things but without any awareness of them at all, or maybe you miss a turnoff because you're just off somewhere in your mind. Or maybe you have some hobbies or activities where you get so engrossed that you don't even notice, somebody entering the room or the passage of time. Ever been on the computer where it's like you look up and suddenly 2 hours have gone by? We also pass through a natural trance state as we're falling asleep. So all I'm doing when I put you into hypnosis is I'm slowing down your brainwave levels, and as we fall asleep, the brainwave levels slow down naturally. So if you've ever been in that little space where you're not quite asleep, but you're having sort of dreamy thoughts, that's what it feels like for some people to be in hypnosis. And if you've done any meditation or yoga or creative visualization, then you've been in a hypnotic state as well, because we tend to access those lower brainwave level states in those situations too. So I mentioned that all that's really happening in those states is that your brainwave levels are slowing down. So typically when we're awake and alert, we're in a beta state, and delta is where we sleep. And in the middle are alpha and theta, which is where meditation and hypnosis occur. So we don't stay in a pure beta state all day long. When we daydream, when we fantasize, when our minds wander, when we're zoned out in front of the TV or driving, we dip down into an alpha or even a theta state. So everybody can be hypnotized. The only catch is you have to be willing. If you're considering coming to see me to prove to somebody that you can't be hypnotized, please save us both the time and energy. As long as you're willing, that's really all I need. But again, sometimes I get people who get sent to me because their doctor thinks that they need to lose weight or their wife wants them to quit smoking. And it's not going to work for somebody who doesn't want it to work. So we can be hypnotized because we go into these natural trance states all day long. So basically there's a scale that determines what it's going to feel like for you to be in hypnosis. And if you think of this as a scale that goes from 0 to 100, high on the scale, like 85% or up, are people who are fairly outgoing, they're extroverted, they don't care a lot about what other people think of them, they like to be the center of attention, and these are the people that we see on stage with a stage hypnotist. They like to be the life of the party, and so they're the ones who are going to go up and agree to entertain. Now, on the lower end of the scale are people who are more analytical. They spend a lot of time inside their heads, they read between the lines, they're more likely to sit back and watch what's going on and try to figure it all out than be right smack in the center of attention. So the stage hypnotist does not want these people on stage because they're going to sit and try to figure it out, and they're going to opt out of doing anything too embarrassing. What we're really seeing when you see a stage hypnosis show is not the hypnosis making people do crazy things. What you're seeing is that the stage hypnotist has screened the audience for the people who would make a good show and invited those people up on stage by using techniques that are only going to work for them. And so these different people look different and respond differently to hypnosis. Now we're used to seeing the people who are high on that scale, who are, asleep in hypnosis when they're with a stage hypnotist, but for most of the clients who come to see me, it's quite a different experience. So the people who are high on the scale tend to go really deeply into hypnosis, they tend to tune out the hypnotist more, and it looks like they've fallen asleep at times. A person who's lower on the scale, the analytical person, will be following along. They feel like they're awake. They have a sense of control. They, will sometimes say, I don't know if I was in hypnosis because I heard everything you were saying. And ultimately, when it comes to getting results, depth doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if a person's deep in hypnosis or light. They get results either way. I say it's a bit like being in a swimming pool. The water isn't wetter because you happen to be in the deep end, right? The water is wet regardless of how deep it happens to be. And so suggestions are accepted equally well regardless of depth. So how does the stage hypnotist know that they're going to get the people who are on the higher end of the scale? As I mentioned, they pre-screen through certain suggestibility tests. So if you've ever been to a stage hypnosis show, the stage hypnotist will do something like have you squeeze your hands together, and then they're going to talk really fast to confuse your mind so you can't follow along. Now, I talk a lot quiet or slower and deeper than I am right now when I'm actually taking somebody through hypnosis. So don't worry, I'm not one of those fast-talking stage hypnotist types. So they're going to get you to squeeze your hands together and simultaneously try to pull them apart. And they're going to say things like, your hands are stuck together, you need me to get them apart. Your hands are stuck together, tighter together, pull them apart, stuck together. And now somebody on that higher end of the scale is just going to follow along and do what they're being told to do. And sure enough, it's going to feel like their hands are stuck together. But somebody on the lower end of the scale is going to think, well, why would my hands be stuck together? That doesn't make any sense. And they're going to pull them apart. So the stage hypnotist does these types of pre-screening suggestibility tests in order to pick out the people who are going to come up on stage. Now, think about the persona of the stage hypnotist as well. Tends to be a really outgoing, aggressive sort of alpha male. And that kind of turns off people on the lower end of the scale. People on the higher end are fine with that. They're comfortable getting up there. And then there's the whole setup of the show. The stage hypnotist is going to perpetuate a lot of misconceptions about hypnosis in order to keep the people from the low end of the scale from coming up. He's going to say things like, I can control your mind, you will succumb to me, you're going to do everything I say, you're going to follow all my suggestions, you won't remember any of it, you'll be fast asleep. Hey, it's all garbage. If you are somebody who likes to be in control of your own mind, you're on the more analytical end of the scale, and you hear some guy say, come on up here and let me control your mind, you're probably going to say, no thanks, I'm just going to stay in my seat, right? So it keeps those people from the lower end of the scale from coming up. It also provides a bit of a scapegoat for the people who do get up. The people who get up are happy to entertain. They would entertain if there was no hypnotist there to encourage them. These are the kind of people who tell you their life story if you sit next to them at the bus stop. But if after the show somebody says, oh my God, I can't believe you did that, you must be mortified, they can say, well, I don't even know what I did. The hypnotist was totally controlling my mind. It wasn't me, right? So it lets them off the hook. They don't have to take responsibility for anything because the hypnotist made them do it. And the audience likes to hear all of this stuff. The audience doesn't want to hear the truth, which is, we're working together cooperatively, you can hear everything that I'm saying, you can choose which suggestions to follow. That's boring. The audience likes to buy all the hype and drama that the hypnotist is somehow controlling their mind. So if you think about what it feels like to be in those natural trance states, that's what it's going to feel like for you to be in hypnosis. Think about driving in that sort of zoned out state. If I tried to ask you a personal question, what's the PIN number for your bank card? You would hear me say that and you'd be like, what do you need my PIN number for? You wouldn't be in some zombie state where you're like 5, 6, 3, right? If a car cut you off, you would slam on your brakes. You still have awareness of what's going on around you. You're just in a different headspace. And so that's really what it feels like for people to be in hypnosis. It's hard for me to tell you exactly what it's going to be like because not knowing who you are, I don't know exactly where you are in that scale. But chances are you're going to be following along, you're going to be paying attention, you're going to have a sense of control. And ultimately in that first session, I prove to you that you're in hypnosis before I move on to giving you any suggestions. I don't do anything too showy, but it's just to show you that regardless of what it might feel like in your mind, the fact that you're paying attention and listening and following and in control, you're actually still taking in the suggestions that I'm giving you.